Minnesota Congresswoman Betty McCollum represents St. Paul. That's just a few miles away from here. She's long been a leading voice on environmental protection, and now she's a driving force behind something called the Mississippi River Restoration and Resilience Initiative, or MIRI. The bipartisan proposal would invest local efforts to reduce runoff, to restore wetlands, improve drinking water, and build resilience to climate change throughout the river's massive basin. I spoke with her not too long ago about the river's health, Washington gridlock, and what's at stake for future generations. Representative McCollum, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here and happy to talk about one of my favorite things in the whole United States and the whole world, the Mississippi River.
Good place to start. Tell me about Minnesota and the river. What does the river mean in particular to your state and to your district?
You know, we get to say the headwaters are in Lake Itasca, but as you watch the water flow south, you watch the water radically change from farm runoff and from pollution, from erosion. And of course, we have communities on the river that are dependent upon the Mississippi for drinking water. So it's really important. It does a lot of different things all at once.
Could you give me an idea of what the Mississippi Restoration and Resilience Initiative is and where it stands right now?
Well, the whole, and we call it MIRI, the whole point behind it is to make sure that we not only improve the health of the river, but at the same time, we improve the health of people. We improve the health of habitat and recognize its iconic role in being an economic driver with barges and all the other things that the river brings to our national economy. So the role in MIRI is to work with local governments, state governments, and communities, and yes, with businesses along the river to make sure that over the next generation, we have this iconic river working for us and working in a way that is healthy for everyone.
Where does that stand in the legislative process?
Well, right now, it's a little difficult to pass anything that is instituting, bringing new ideas or new innovation to some of our challenges and problems in Washington. We have a president who's cutting infrastructure projects. So what we're trying to do, and the local governments and all the nonprofit organizations that we're working on, we're saying, wait, time out. This is going to save money. This is going to make our communities stronger. And you need to not just look at dollars and cents, but look at the investments that we can make together. I want to be really clear here. This is a non-regulatory program. So this is for communities to come to us. We want to improve our drinking water. We want to improve runoff. We want to improve flooding.
Let's talk a little bit about non-point source pollution, agricultural runoff. Help us understand the challenges in managing that.
You know, farmers want to be a partner in this, and quite often, I think unnecessarily, they're just looked at as a problem and not as part of our overall solution and how we move forward. We've talked with a lot of the farming groups, a lot of farms. They want help with coordination. They want help with research. And when they do land set aside and they take something out of productivity to protect the river a little more, they want some recognition for that. And that's what the Farm Bill has done in the past through a lot of the programs that have been in it. And farmers have been right there as partners. We need to continue the dialogue not only with farmers, but with other legislative leaders. And right now, a lot of my colleagues in Congress who live along the river, they know that these problems exist, whether it's some of the things that could be fixed in the Farm Bill or some of the things that we could do in the MIRI bill that I have. But they don't want to get on any pieces of legislation because right now it would be seen as, expanding government, and they're all about downsizing government. We need to be about making government work in partnership with communities to get things done more efficiently and more effectively for the next generation.
Let's talk about the Army Corps of Engineers. How sustainable is their current approach to managing the river for navigation and for flood control?
That's a great question, because after DOGE and the cuts made by the Republican leaders in Congress, I have no idea what kind of funding will even be left for the Army Corps. The Army Corps is backed up a lot in being able to do many of the things that it wants to do right now to protect the river and protect navigation. I know that firsthand, even in my region, with some of the work that they come into my office and talk about just in the Twin Cities area. So to put this all on the Army Corps and say that they can fix it is not fair.
What about the idea that there are communities that are simply too close to the river? The idea of giving them leeway, of making room for the river, is difficult because you are, after all, talking about people's homes and businesses. How do you tackle this particularly thorny issue?
It is hard, but we have to handle this with in a way that brings people to the table to talk about what is the solution that's not only best for you, best for the future, but it's best for our overall economy. You know, the federal government and the state government, with some of these flooding episodes, whether it's in Florida after hurricanes and that, we're seeing what the dollar signs are like, and we need solutions. And that's why I hope Mary can help to be one of those solutions for communities to come together to make decisions that will build resiliency or help them become more resilient in the way that they plan in the future.
All right, let's throw climate change into the mix. How much does that complicate things, and how much does that change the way you view this holistic approach to the river?
Climate change is definitely part of it. It is very difficult, especially with the attitude with some people in Congress and some people in the Republican Party, to even talk about climate change. And so what you have to do is just go to the ground level, right? Take out the information, talk to elders, talk to weather people, and just talk about how things have really changed. And the 100-year floods became 50-year floods, and the 50-year floods become 10-year floods. And now some flooding is annual. The flooding seasons have changed. It's all there. In Minnesota, I have to say, we don't talk about climate change in black and white issues, Republican, Democrat, because we've watched our winters change. We've watched them get warmer. We've watched our storm cycles change. We've watched our snow change, our freeze-thaw pattern change. We've been at ground zero kind of experiencing this, but some communities haven't. And it's going to take leadership to say that we have to address and recognize that climate change is an issue, not only for today, but really for our children.
So what are your legislative priorities for the river right now?
You know, awareness. I live in the real world. I wake up every day optimistic, but I know what's going on around me. I know right now people are not looking at engaging in talking about climate change on the other side of the aisle. The other side of the aisle right now thinks a lot of things are really good, but they don't want to be seen as doing anything with the EPA or anything that could be looked at like extra spending, because they're all about cutting. So my job as a legislator, and I know it can take a long time to pass things. I've worked on projects that have taken 15 years, transportation projects and other projects that have taken a long time, is to keep the communities engaged, to create the public awareness, to have the dialogue, to say we're not going away, and ignoring this challenge that the river has is not going to make anyone's lives any better. It's going to make the future less bright.
Representative McCollum, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Representative McCollum spoke about the difficult choices communities face when it comes to making room for the river. And by the way, can you hear the river behind me? St. Anthony Falls. It puts up quite a din and quite a roar. This is quite a place. We'll tell you a little bit more about where we are in just a few moments.